Hello everyone, so we're back to our cat. The tracing of it I did super fast because I'm pretty sure that nobody wants to be bored watching me trace it through. So do have a look at that if you're not sure how to trace your subject using a carbon tracing paper onto your Pastelmat. So mine is already traced, you can see it there, and we will be starting with the eyes. Just want to get that off. We'll be starting with the eyes, and you can see that on this side I have my kit. This is my beautiful kit that I have with all of my charcoal in it, and you can see I have loads and loads of charcoal, fine and compressed, and pencils and blending stumps and a whole whack of lovely stuff. This makes my heart sing. I love supplies, as does every artist. So here we go. Let's have a look at how we are going to start these eyes. These eyes are beautiful. You can see all the detail in them. I'll try and get it up to the camera without it going out of focus, but you can see that these eyes are absolutely exquisite. When I turned this into black and white, I was very careful that I was able to get the detail of these eyes in, because color, she or he is gorgeous, and I wanted to make sure that these eyes really stood out when we do the actual drawing in the charcoal. So with no further ado, I'm going to choose a charcoal pencil. This is a Generals. This is a hard, which I don't want. I'm looking for a soft. Here's a soft. And I have a piece of Kneaded eraser. Just moving my kit out of the way, making sure I close it, because if this falls and goes all over the place, I'll be crying. So if we start, and I have a very tiny blending stump, purely because it is such a small area, I'm going to start with around the eyes. This dark area will be enough to pull into the actual iris itself without destroying all these beautiful light colors. We shall be using a white pastel stick to bring out those highlights. So let's start. The only thing that we find with these charcoal pencils, and I must just show you how they work because they are genius, is that instead of having to sharpen them, and very often they break, as you know, when you use a traditional sharpener, and even a craft knife, you can still end up with a very broken, sorry, I'm just going to take this further down because I haven't quite, there we go, got a whole piece of paper to take off of here, and you'll see now that we will produce a very long tip, and one can sand that into a finer tip. And the only thing that gets in the way are these little pieces of string, which are obviously needed. One could tape them down, but I carry on regardless. And I'm just laying in this very dark, deep black that we have. This is a soft. Using the soft because it's a lot easier to blend out, and I'm laying down just around the edge of the eye itself, just to get a black down, or get this tonal value down, which is the darkest tonal value, the black part of the cat, and then we shall be blending it out. We'll blend it into the actual eyeball itself to get those grey tones, and make sure that we don't end up with too much charcoal on here. So you can see that I am basically pulling the charcoal up from the bottom towards the pupil, because then already you have the detail of the eye. I'm picking up some charcoal and just running it down this line here. You can see this detail here, running it down into the bottom part of the eye there. And I shall be doing the same here. There's a very, very dark piece at the top here, and then there's a piece that goes into the eye there and across here. So there we already have those details of that eyeball, and I'm now putting in the iris. It's a very, very small, tiny little streak, and this is probably not sharp enough, but let's just see. I've gone down too low, so I shall be pulling it out with a piece of my Kneaded eraser. Here we go. But you can see that that eyeball already looks fantastic. And we can go across, we can put in the nose, this dark of the nose on either side. There's a few little bits here, and there is this beautiful marking here. And you can see how easy it is to get these tonal values correct just by laying down the darkest of the darks, which is obviously, as I said before, the black, and then blending it out ever so carefully so that we don't get. Make sure you follow your shadows, your darker ones. There we go. Keep looking at the original as you are working, and making sure that you are getting those tonal values as best as you can with what you've put down. You can always add. Remember, it's difficult to remove. So there we have this bit of nose, and you can use your blending stump. It's amazing how much a blending stump carries. You can use your blending stump for laying down, like what I'm doing here. I haven't put anything on this part of the cat's mouth. All I'm doing is using what is on my blending stump. I've gone back to this area. I'm probably going to put this line in just now, because as you know, if you have followed any of my tutorials, you will know that I often go back into the eyes after I've done an area, because when you lay down when you start making sure that the tonal values are correct, 100% correct, you start noticing that there are other areas that either need more or need to be lifted. So that's what it's all about, is going in and lifting and adding and blending, and it is just such a beautiful medium that and very, very forgiving. So here you can see in this eye, we're going to be doing the same thing as we did on the other eye. And remember that practice makes perfect. I always talk about practice. It is the only way to improve your drawing skills. The only way to get better at what you love doing. And here you can see that there is quite a dark. I'm doing this bit here this goes up, this goes around, so I'll get that down there, and then we've got these marks in here, and then we have, you can see that I'm picking up charcoal from the actual outline that we've put down and running it in towards the iris, because that is how eyeballs, the markings on the eyeballs, they do have those lines that run towards the iris. So that's why I'm taking it from the outside. And again, you can see that I haven't learned from the last one, and I am laying the iris in, but that one has worked out a whole lot better. Just going to put in this, seems to be slightly darker here on this side. Blend that out, and then I'm going to soften the iris. And we have done the eyes. That's how quick and easy it is when you use and you put down a little bit of charcoal and then blend it all out. There we go. We've got a pretty good base for the eyes. We've got a pretty good start. We have our darkest tonal value in already, purely because the black on this cat is the darkest tonal value. And we can move this out on the side here. It is a lot lighter. Just using our blending stump. There's a lot of light and dark grays here, and we will end up adding some of the black charcoal into some of these, but at the moment all I'm doing is I'm using what I've laid down just to get my shadows and that in, and then I will work out what needs more charcoal added and what doesn't. So there we go. We've started our cat, looking absolutely gorgeous, I think, for a great start. And in the next tutorial, we will start on this side of the face. I am right-handed, so we'll work from left to right so I don't smudge it. I know that I've put the eyes in, but that we will work around. It's very, very easy to work around it, especially if you are using something under your hand to stop the smudging or your hand becoming full of charcoal. Have a wonderful day, everybody. See you in the next tutorial.